I'm starting to feel about luxury makeup the same way I feel about a lot of the handbags and fashion that these luxury brands are selling these days. Ridiculous prices, questionable quality. I mean, some of these brands are legit robbing me blind, guys. I spent $878 on all this makeup that I'm gonna show you today. That's before tax, so over $900. And don't get me wrong, okay? Some of it's good. I'm not gonna bash all of this. I'm gonna let you know what's worth it, but some of these products, I'm like, is this a luxury product? And with that, let's talk about the Chanel Fall collection. Now, the theme of this collection is kind of like fortune teller, witchy vibes, clairvoyance, divination. Not that creative for a fall collection, but it is different for Chanel. And I will say, I do give them credit for trying to bring something more creative, more different for these seasonal collections. And I've liked a lot of the things that they have launched lately. However, sometimes I think that Chanel is trying to be so creative with some of these collections that they overlook the actual quality of the product, especially for the price, which is why we buy luxury makeup in the first place, and also what the Chanel consumer actually wants. I've seen a lot of glittery products in these collections, a lot of inconsistency between the pigmentation of the products, and with this collection specifically, my main beef are the eyeshadow palettes. How do I say this? This formula is dusty. It doesn't feel like a luxury eyeshadow formula. And if you're new here, hi, welcome. My name is Sophia. I review hundreds of luxury beauty products on this channel every single year. If you like luxury beauty, consider subscribing to my channel. I would love to have you. I use a lot of luxury makeup, okay? This doesn't feel like a $68 palette. These feel so dusty to me. I don't hate them because they do look pretty on the eyes once I get them on. I'm wearing this one today, which is called Divination, and I do think it looks really beautiful, but I'll show you guys the demo here of the look that I created with this palette. It's a mixture of greens and purples. Right from the bat, I dip into this green, and you can see right there, you can barely see the color on my lid. I really do have to build it up. I think it's a super fun palette, and I appreciate having all of these colors together. I just kind of expected something a little bit better from Chanel. The deeper purple, that was so hard to build up. You really need to use the little sponge applicators if you want to get enough pigmentation and depth from these shades. Once again, I like the final look. It's just I sort of have to make it work. These little sponge applicators, they're not super precise. It's hard for me to kind of get the line that I want, and then I have to go in and clean it up with a brush and concealer and powder and all that kind of stuff, all the blending, okay? It's just not as effortless as I would want it to be. If you have an all matte palette, which both of these are, by the way, that matte formula really needs to shine. You don't have any shimmers or satins in there to add a little bit more dimension, so you need that matte to be beautifully sueded, blendable, buildable. It doesn't have to be super pigmented because this is Chanel. Like, I don't expect it to be super pigmented. I know this isn't Natasha Denona, but hear me out. Even with Natasha Denona, with my Viseart shadows, with my Esom shadows, at least there I can sheer them out, I can build them up. I feel like with these, like I said, guys, it just doesn't feel like luxury. This palette, the Initiation, I'll show you the look that I did with this one. While this is my kind of vibe, because you guys know I love these sort of fall, autumnal, warm tone neutrals, I just feel like this whole palette is such a skip. They already have these colors in the main line. I definitely dislike this one more than I dislike this one, because at least this one is different. The colors are very fun, and if you are a Chanel customer and you like lightly pigmented makeup, which I definitely can appreciate, I feel like this at least is a good way to play around with color. If you feel like you're even gonna use this palette in the first place, I will, but I feel like a lot of people are buying this just because it's different and they're like never going to pick it up. This one, I just don't understand why anybody would get it. Maybe if you don't have any Chanel makeup at all and you're like, oh, I want the simplest thing, but I would recommend instead the Beige palette in warm. Like, any of those basic neutral ones are better than this. I found that the darkest shade in particular, very patchy, very difficult to blend out. It's a pass, guys. Like, I don't recommend these. If you really, really love the color story of the Divination quad, go for it if you want something really lightly pigmented. But if you go in your collection, you probably can find some purples and greens. And also, don't be buying this thinking, oh, I'll just wear the purples together and I'll just wear the greens together, because what's the point? What's the point? I'm sure you have a purple palette somewhere. Okay, you can see I'm getting very heated here. Now let's talk about the blushes. We have this one, which is called Blood Orange, and then we have this one, which is called Lavender. The formula of these is actually really nice. It is very smooth, very silky, very blendable. These are purely matte, however. There's not going to be a lot of like light reflecting particles, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. So right off the bat, guys, I will say the formula is really beautiful. My beef with these, well, I'm going to go one by one. It's with the colors, guys, okay? Starting off with Blood Orange. This is a beautiful shade, don't get me wrong. I like the shade, but what puzzles me is why is Chanel or the people designing this so obsessed with orangey shades? Because if you recall last fall, we had a blush that was pretty similar in color. I'll put some photos up here so that we can all remember together. Then the Winter Glow collection launched and we had once again like an orangey coral blush. Then the Spring collection launched and we had that awful duo. It was like the pink and then once again like the orange color. Then the Summer collection launches and we have that peachy orange shade. Now the Fall collection launches and once again we have an orangey shade. If you are a Chanel lover and if you've purchased any of those other ones in the past, I don't really see a lot of value in picking this one up. In fact, I almost didn't buy the blushes because I was like, what's the point? But I got them. Okay, I got them to give you my 2 cents here on my channel. Then we have the Lavender blush. This color has been so trendy this year. It's been pretty popular in the Asian market for a while now, but this year specifically, we've seen a lot of mainstream luxury brands releasing lavender blushes, and it seems like a fun option, right, guys? But this really only works for certain skin tones. I'm quite fair. I am a B10 in the Chanel foundation line, and I even feel like this isn't really a blush on me. It's more of like a highlighting powder. This tends to, with like certain bronzers, look a bit ashy. Like I put it on and it just, even now, I don't know, like it looks a little bit ashy on my cheekbones. Now I've heard some people say that you can use this as like a brightening or setting powder, and I think that that would be fine. Like the formula is great, as I said. If you feel like lavender is the right tone that you can use, then go for it, okay? But for the average consumer who's just like shopping in Chanel and they're like, oh, these are the blushes, I'm not so sure, to be honest, guys, if the sales associates are gonna tell them, oh, you can use this as a setting powder. I think everybody's gonna put these on almost like they were a blush, and it really only serves, you know, the very fairest of skin tones. I think that there is a way to do a light purple blush and not have it look super ashy. I'm thinking off the top of my head, I know Rare Beauty has a very light purple blush and it doesn't look ashy on my skin tone. It kind of melts into the skin. So if you're looking for that kind of vibe, I can list the shade that I have in my head down in the description box, where I will list, by the way, all of these products and all these shades so you don't have to remember them. Last thing about the blushes, guys, instead of the orange, I kind of wish that they just would have launched a beautiful kind of warm tone nude to go with the more neutral palette. I keep forgetting the names. Initiation. This is just so bright. If they had just gone a little bit more nude, okay, in this formula, it would have been so beautiful. It would have been such a perfect seasonal autumnal blush. And now on a lighter note, let's talk about one of my favorite collections of this season, which is the Hermes Fall collection. You guys know how I feel about the Hermes makeup. It is very overpriced, okay? It's overpriced in general for makeup. That being said, okay, I love the colors, I love the formulas, and I love the packaging, okay? So I'm willing to pay for it. And I really like this eyeshadow palette that they did for fall. This is called Ombres Minerales. I'll show you guys the look that I created with this. This is an example, okay, Chanel, of how you can do autumnal colors. You can have a little bit of fun with the palette, but number one, the quality is a lot better, and I feel like the tones and just the color story in general is a little bit more appropriate for the customer. I'm not telling you you can or can't wear certain colors, okay? I'm just saying I feel like this color story would appeal to more of us who purchase luxury makeup than the Chanel colors. And this also feels a little bit more unique. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I know this isn't like the most groundbreaking color story ever. I'm not trying to overhype these like pretty neutral fall colors. I feel like I can get a lot of looks out of it. They all come across as very wearable and neutral, but a little bit different than what I'm seeing from the other brands this season. I'm not seeing other people do these deliciously grungy autumnal tones together. I'm seeing a lot of like very basic neutral palettes. There's like some pops of blue. That's a very trendy color for this year as well. I'm seeing like reds this year. I don't want to wear a ton of red eyeshadow. I feel like Hermes understood the assignment. If you can't tell, I love this palette. I am a little bit annoyed that this palette, for whatever reason, is $6 more than the ones from the main line. Somebody was asking me that, like, oh, is that the new price? Or is it because it's a seasonal palette? I think it's because it's a seasonal palette, guys. Regardless, I still really like it. If you're somebody that enjoys these seasonal luxury makeup collections, I would recommend just getting this palette than the entire Chanel fall collection. Also from this collection, I have the two matte lipsticks. Now there's also a tinted balm formula in this collection. I'm not wasting my money on a tinted balm from Hermes, guys, because these are $79. I know it's Hermes, but it's still really expensive, okay guys? They might be the most expensive lipsticks that I own. I'll have to check on that. The packaging is really beautiful. You know, it's a couple dollars more than the regular lipsticks, I'm guessing, because of the limited edition packaging, but I do like them. And the shades are both very wearable and very beautiful. The first one here is called Beige Doblis. This is gonna be a classic pigmented warm nude. And this has definitely been one of the lipsticks that I've been wearing very, very regularly because it doesn't just go with every single makeup look. The other color, which is called Rouge Nappa, is a little bit more unique, I will admit. This one is kind of like a subdued fall red. It's not fully red, it's not fully nude. It's somewhere in the middle. I love this. It's such a beautiful, flush, romantic shade for fall. And like I said, friends, I do really like the formula of these. It is a matte formula, but it's very hydrating. It's not drying. It's formulated with vitamin E, fatty acids, squalane. Yes, I checked the ingredients, okay, because they're $79. It's a really nice formulation. Very, very comfortable and lusciously pigmented. If you don't like these shades, Hermes does have some more unique shades in their collection. In fact, I think that these are the first nude ones that I have. All of that being said, okay, while I like the packaging, I like the colors, I like the formula, I think that these are really good lipsticks. It is hard for me to tell you that this is a must-have. If you guys saw last year, I did a matte lipstick ranking, and I told you in that video, I'll link it down below, I told you in that video that Hermes makes really good matte lipsticks, but it's hard for me to rank them higher because they're so expensive, especially because the Prada lipsticks, which are also really good, are $50. And $50 is a lot, but it's better than $79 plus tax. These shades as well are also a little bit dupable, especially the Beige Doblis, which I'm guessing is probably the most popular one because it is the most nude and like easily wearable one. This is not that unique of a shade, guys. If you're looking for a beautiful matte lipstick that has just as good of a formula, okay, and I took a look at all the ingredients of these, I would recommend checking out the Merit Signature Matte Lipsticks. These have hyaluronic acid, they have sesame seed extract, they have vitamin E, olive oil, castor seed oil. These have really, really good ingredients. They're very, very similar to the Prada soft matte lipsticks, like almost the same type of feel and effect on the lips. If you're looking for something more affordable, I would check these out because they have so many beautiful neutral shades. This one right here is called Antibes. That's Beige Doblis. It's a little bit pinker, and that is Antibes. I also would highly recommend the Hermes Legendary Serum lipsticks. In fact, spoiler alert, in that matte lipstick ranking from last year, these won second place, and the nude shades didn't even exist yet. I probably would put them as number one now that there's actually like more everyday nude shades. So definitely check those out. They're like not as luxurious as the Hermes ones, but the product that comes in the tin, I think is just as good if that's what you're looking for. And lastly, I highly recommend the Queen Musia lipsticks. This shade in particular, I think is so beautiful for fall. This is called Ada. It's a little bit warmer, but see, it's in the same color family as all of these autumnal lipsticks. This is such a beautiful formula, and definitely check in the description box, friends, because I do have coupon codes for some of these brands, so I'll have all that listed down below. So final word, guys, final summary about the Hermes lipsticks. I absolutely love them, like I really do. I think they're so beautiful. I love the packaging and the colors, and I've been using them a lot. But if you don't want to pay $79 for a lipstick, you don't have to. You can get really, really good quality with these other brands. And finally, we have the newly reformulated Tom Ford lipsticks and the new Tom Ford lip liners. I feel like this is going to be an unpopular opinion, friends, but I just feel like these are so overhyped. So overhyped for the price. Let's start off with the lipsticks. These retail for $62. Not as much as the Hermes, but keep in mind that the Hermes do have nicer packaging, and they come with like a little dust bag and the orange box and all of that. Maybe you don't care about that, but I'm just pointing it out. These retail for $62, still a very high price point. I have two shades. The first one that I'm going to show you here is called West Coast. I will say this is an absolutely stunning shade. It's described on the Sephora website as a cinnamon. I wouldn't say it's like the most unique shade, okay? In fact, I was able to find some very, very similar ones that I'm going to mention in just a second. And the second shade that I have here is called Dolce, and this is described as a burnt sienna. This one is a little bit richer in tone compared to West Coast. In fact, they're very similar, except Dolce is just a little bit deeper. And I also want to give them credit for the formula. If you guys recall, in that once again, in that lipstick ranking that I did last year, I told you that while they are very expensive, I was really impressed with the formula, especially compared to the Chanel and the Dior lipsticks, like other luxury brands. I felt like Tom Ford had one of the most impressive formulations. When I took a look at the ingredients, I was seeing a lot of very lip nourishing ingredients: vitamin E, omega-6 fatty acids, soybean extract, ceramides, the list goes on and on. Now, the newly reformulated ones, I wanted to see if they made the formula like more cheapy, because we're kind of seeing that from a lot of brands. Either they make it, you know, clean, or they make it with less product, or they like cheapen the formula and try and make us think that it's better. They didn't cheapen the formula, okay? It is different. They kept a lot of those really good ingredients, but I did notice that they added more emollients to this formula. So it's just a little bit slippier, and I felt like the old lipsticks had a little bit more of like a velvet finish, whereas with these, I feel like they have slightly more of like a satiny finish. That being said, okay, they're good lipsticks, guys, but is it like the best lipstick that I've ever tried ever? It's up there, okay? It's up there. Don't get me wrong. Like, I really like these lipsticks, but for $62, I really do feel like you can get something similar for half the price. I also don't think that they last particularly long. I felt like I had to reapply a lot. Moisturized my lips, but like they didn't last very long. And for me, I need something a little bit more long lasting. Now, the alternative that I would recommend, and I've raved about these before, are these super satin lipsticks from Makeup by Mario. I love this formula. I think it is one of the best lipstick formulas that I have ever tried. And they are a little bit more pigmented, like more true to color than the Tom Ford ones. These have a slight sheerness to them, so just kind of keep that in mind. It's not like good versus bad. It's just, it is what it is. These are a little bit more pigmented, which I prefer. And they also last a lot longer. Like, they're so hydrating. They give you that nice, like, subtle shine, smooth, hydrated effect to the lips. I'm actually wearing, which one am I wearing right now? I am wearing Bronx Baby. So if you were wondering this whole video what shade I was wearing, it's Bronx Baby. And I was taking a look at the ingredients. These have a lot of great ingredients as well. There's argan oil, vitamin E, camellia seed oil, castor seed oil. If you're looking for some more nude shades, you know, Bronx Baby, the one that I'm wearing today, is really great. But the shade Dumbo, this one is very similar to the Tom Ford ones. Let me show you here. Bronx Baby, West Coast, Dolce. You can see how the Tom Ford ones, they're a little bit more sheer and the Mario is more opaque. 917 is a really beautiful nude as well. It's a little bit lighter than Dumbo. Really beautiful nudes. I mean, it's Mario, so he's gonna have really beautiful nude lipstick colors. That's just really his aesthetic. The lipsticks are nice, but I don't think I'm gonna buy more of them. Does that make sense? Like, I like what I got. I don't think I'm gonna collect a million shades. Maybe if there's like a really good deal around Black Friday and it's like, oh, I really wanted that one shade, then I'll pick it up. But I'm kind of set with these two. I don't feel like I need to spend $62 on more of these. Whereas if Hermes comes out with like a really cool seasonal color and really cool packaging, maybe I'll spring for that. But I'll get one Hermes lipstick as opposed to buying like the whole range of the Tom Ford ones. But that's just me. Now let's talk about the lip liners. I only got this one. Okay, I'll show you the shade that I got. It's in number 103, Irresistible. Beautiful shade. It's kind of like a rich, warm brown. I really like this for fall. It goes really well with a lot of the lipsticks that I showed you in this video. So love the color. I will agree, just like the lipsticks, the lip liners are really good. In fact, I think this probably is the best lip liner that I've ever tried, but it's $46. For a lip liner, I actually wasn't going to get this. I remember when these launched and I was like, the lip liners are here. And then I clicked on it and I was like, oh my gosh, even I, as somebody who regularly buys and spent all this money on luxury makeup all the time, even I hesitated and was like, am I about to do this? Am I about to spend $46 on a lip liner? I am not gonna be buying any more of these lip liners, not for $46. And the reason why I say that this is the best lip liner that I've ever used is because it doesn't matter how dry and crusty my lips are, this does not drag. They're very creamy and very blendable. But like a lot of the other lip liners that I really enjoy, once they dry down, the formula doesn't budge. So is it top notch? Yes, it is. But I don't feel like it's that marginally better than the other ones that I like. My other favorite ones are the Pat McGrath, the Charlotte Tilbury Lip Cheat, and I really enjoy the Lisa Eldridge ones. The original Lisa Eldridge ones, not the newer ones. I just like the longer wear ones better. I just feel like these lip liners from these other brands, most of them are about, let's see, the Charlotte Tilbury is $25. I feel like that already is kind of expensive for a little pencil, but I'm willing to pay for it because it's good quality. $46, I'm sorry, even for me guys, it's just too much. So if you had a lot of FOMO, this is me de-influencing you. I really don't think you need it. I think you can get away with a lot of perfectly good nude lip liners from these other high-end, very nice brands. And that is it, my friends. You could probably tell from my lighting that the sun is going down. I've been sitting here ranting for quite some time. I really just wanted to have this discussion with you, talk about all the new products, and really let you know what I've been enjoying, what I think is worth it. But enough about what I think. I want to hear about what you think. What is your opinion on these collections, whether you purchased them or you didn't? I would love to hear why you did or you didn't, what you like, what you didn't like. And if you haven't already, I would really appreciate it if you gave this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already. And with that, friends, I hope that you see some beauty in your day, and I will see you in my next one. Goodbye.